Now, what about hormonal imbalances? Because I know, like you say, that's
wow, I'm glad you asked that one. That was on my mind.
Well, I think it's a reality, though. Or do you
Yeah.
think that, because sometimes I think men think we women use that as an excuse.
Okay. I think we need, again, go back to the whole person. I don't think you can say hormonal imbalance, and I'm speaking from a male perspective, so okay. But I don't think we can use that as an excuse to justify mistreatment with anger. Okay, we can say that's a part of what's going on for me.
It's a reality.
I need to understand that and deal with that, but I can't use that as an excuse to mistreat people.
Right, right.
Any other unique reasons or nuances to a woman's anger?
Well, I think right now we just need to acknowledge the pressures and stresses are high. There's women who feel like I can't be the Christian I'm called to be. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I'm stressed out. I'm at the max. I feel like I can't do good self-care. And then we have our culture that gives us all these images of what I'm supposed to be like, and we start comparing ourselves. We begin to feel very inferior, and we watch our physical bodies change over time, and we get very angry because we're not what culture says we're supposed to be. And anytime we put our eyes in the wrong place like that, we're going to feel terrible about ourselves.
What are some ways of breaking that in a positive way, positive steps to recognize that's going on, but to walk counterculturally?
Well, I think, first of all, where's our source of value and worth? And by the way, I do want you to take good care of yourself. I want you to have great self-care. And sometimes we need to rechange some things in our life so we can do that. I want you to feel good about yourself. I want you to feel good about yourself physically, but I don't want you to become obsessed with it. So if I cross a line of obsession and it's controlling me, then it's no longer healthy. Okay.
Now, is there ever a point where perhaps a woman gets angry and it's maybe a kind of a victimization that she has, or an entitlement attitude?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. Okay, here's the danger. I've been hurt over and over and over, and I can develop a victim mentality that says, well, I deserve this, and I really don't rise up to be who I'm called to be because I'm so full of offenses. I'm a victim. I've internalized everything, and I'm walking around spewing hurt and anger all over everybody. Yeah, and because I'm a victim, and that's a line we got to watch that we don't cross over.
Now, do you think one of the biggest things with anger is coming to kind of the reality of it, is getting out of that denial thing, not just for women, but for men as well?
Yes. Well, I think the most difficult thing is to have that little conversation with yourself. And I said, you go to the mirror and have a conversation, but, you may have been hurt multiple times, and it may have been unfair and unjust, but you have a responsibility now for what you're doing with it. And if you've been hurting other people, you've been carrying around offenses, that's harming you, and you have a responsibility to take. So you've got to have that conversation with yourself. Which is going to bring us to the next step I have to do.
Then what do you do from there?
Well, I think that from there, there's an element of self-forgiveness. It's so important. And self-forgiveness says, okay, I've mistreated myself. I've probably mistreated others. And I have harbored resentments. And the scriptures say to let go of all envy, jealousy, malice, intent to harm others. And so probably self-forgiveness is the first step. I've got to release this. I'm not going to carry around all this baggage from the past anymore. And that's a big decision to make.
Right.
It's an instant decision, but to walk it out takes a little time.
Right. I was about to say that because, I mean, I've heard people say that, okay, you can do that.
Yes.
But then there's a lot of things in the mind and in the soul that have to kind of get worked out.
That's why I say we have to walk it out. And the next thing, we need to forgive those who we feel have harmed us. And that's a big one.
Right, that can be hard, especially if a woman was abused in any kind of way.
And that doesn't mean that you go to them necessarily. Forgiveness is for us. It's not for the other person. And to release them. And we've got to release them into, so I can really be free to be who God's called me to be. I can't carry around that unforgiveness. No, because it's going to affect everything. My present relationship, it's going to put a wedge in my relationship with people, with God, and it's going to rob joy. You cannot have bitterness and resentments.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And live joyfully.
Doctor, how do you maybe, not to say capitalize, but get some synergy with some good people? Because I'm sure is that a part of the equation? whether, again, be it a woman or a man, just having some support and some good sounding boards and some good people that can speak into your life.
I think you need a couple people to really help you with accountability. And what this looks like is when I start to tilt, okay, and I'm saying and doing things that are more like how I used to be, I need somebody, whether it's a counselor or whether it's somebody I really trust that knows me well, that I'm willing to receive some feedback. Get the people who have resentments in their lives are very difficult to give them feedback because they always have to be right. So if you have a hard time receiving feedback, you better just check your heart and make sure you're not carrying around, because people with offenses always have to be right. They always have to have the last word because they're right.
Right. Now, what do you do with, because I know when you get angry too, there's physiological things that happen,
good,
right?
good.
And you feel it, you feel it coming. And that's why on the book, again, you have the broken plate, because you almost feel like, what am I going to do with what's happening physiologically? So what do you do with it?
I think there's a retraining of ourselves, even physically. If you can look at anger on a continuum, first maybe irritability, as it keeps growing, it can move into more full-fledged anger, and then it can move into more rage. And then there's something that steps the line over to violence and domestic violence.
Right.
There are women who are rageaholics, and over time the volcano goes, eventually
brewing.
goes off. It brews and then it goes off, and they've developed this pattern. So you've got to relearn a whole pattern of dealing with anger.
So there's a healthy release of anger.
There's a healthy release. Basically two rules. You can be angry, but do not say anything or that's going to harm another person. Okay, it's all right to say I'm angry with you, but it's not okay to call names.
Right.
Yeah, you're a stupid idiot, and I'm really mad at you. That's not how you deal with anger, and it's not okay to harm yourself. So we got to relearn those things.
Right.
Harming yourself means I'm not going to carry the offense.
Wow. Wow. So one of the biggest things is just the acceptance, a woman learning how to accept herself and knowing who she is in Christ.
Yes, and it sounds simple, but and ultimately it is, but it's working through that. That's,
Now, what can a husband do to help his
other than stay out of the house?
As you asked that, the first thing, this book is really helpful for a husband to read.
Yeah, to understand.
Now, many won't. I wish they would. Yeah, because one of the things is you got to remember, as a husband, you may feel like you got to fix everything, and you may feel like you want to argue every point. You know what? Don't argue with an angry woman. There you go.
That's the big golden nugget of the day.
Well, really.
Yeah.
I mean, look for what's behind it.
Yeah, understanding.
Look for understanding. Look for the hurt,
right.
And give up your need to be right as a male. And be there. There are times you just need to be there. You may feel like the target. Be careful about trying to move too quickly to fix something. So.
Wow, that's some good
stuff.
Yeah, boy.
Wow.
It's the first time you've been on Harvest, and we're going to have you back. You're good. This is wonderful. And guys, listen, if you find yourself in that situation, if you're a wife, or maybe you're a husband, and you kind of see that your wife is struggling, the book is Every Woman's Guide to Managing Your Anger. You can pick it up by going onto our website, www.harvest-tv.com. We'll also let you know how you can get in touch with Dr. Jantz. Stay with us. The Harvest Show will continue when we come back. Thank you so much.
Oh, yes, yeah.